Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, today for Down and Dirty Woods Craft, we're going to talk about a resource that's one of my favorites. Fatwood, or fat lighter as I call it, or touchwood, or whatever we call it. This is a hunk that I just cut off of a log over here of raw fatwood. Now, why does fatwood occur? A pine tree in the sun, the sap running up and down it, the tree dies usually in the summer months, and the sap trapped within the trunk goes through basically like a fermentation process and creates something that is very flammable. It will act very much like kerosene, and that's where we get turpentine from, another flammable that used to be very popular years ago with paints and stuff, not so much now, but it comes from pine. Now, as you can see, that's a nice bright piece of what I call Alabama gold. It is actually a golden color, and it's just absolutely sodden. I want you to notice the exterior. See how it looks drawn, weathered. This is the core of a big limb that the tree itself had turned into fatwood and then had died. Now, there's a reason for that. Why doesn't the whole thing look orange? Because as the curing process occurs, the outer softer woods on the outside, that sap condenses toward the core, and the outer wood deteriorates and rots and becomes like a punk wood. Okay, thus you got those ridges and everything of the softer and harder cores that have been lost, leaving just this. Now, I hear a lot of people talking about a pitch pine, fatwood, or fat lighter torch. And that's kind of a misnomer, because yes, that was used quite a bit in the old South and in other places, but it isn't a torch like you see in the movies, you know, the guy walking around taking a torch. There is so much sap in this that when you go to burning it, that secretes out and will run down the limb. So if you're sitting there holding it like that and it's on fire, napalm is going to run down and get on your hand. You learn real quick, you don't hold a fat lighter thing burning that way. You hold an angle so it will drip, and it will drip. And that makes it a very poor torch, really, because of the fact that it's going to spread fire as you walk. If you're trying to walk along, unless you're in a dirt road, you're going to drop, you know, molten burning liquid ever so often, and you could drop it on you. So people held it off to the side instead of in front of them. There's too big a risk of dropping it on their foot. So you hold it off to the side. As a resource for us in fire starting, whatever, I prefer to keep it when you harvest it like this, in a natural form, and then split off of this to resupply my fire kit, because over time it will kind of dry out a little bit on the surface, okay? And so if you split down to small little twigs that are almost like a pump match, they're going to have a limited lifespan before they kind of evaporate out. It will still burn, but what you're looking for, that soaked in gasoline-like effect, diminishes. And so I need to keep it in the big form for storage. And then off of this, I will slice off or cut off a piece and then split that down to go into my fire kit, because that's going to be used fairly regularly and is constantly being resupplied. Now, you'll see also people who, you don't know where the source is. How do I gather it? Well, most of your big box stores like Walmart and etc., in their hardware section where they got the boxes of firewood, if you look up above them, usually there's going to be a box of fatwood already split into like 1-inch squares. They push it through stumps through a grate, and it busts it up into these long square sticks. Okay, that works. And if you're wanting to practice with it, do some stuff with it, see what you can do, and you don't have the time to go hunting around in your woods, you may not have as much up there, go with that, because it's usually a higher quality. Down here in my part of the South, they'll come in and they'll clear cut an area, and then over time they come back and they'll dig up the stumps, and those stumps have now become fat wood, and they will take that and run it to these mills which process to make that bag, those boxes. So that's, you know, usually southern, because that Alabama gold, it just turns so dark and golden down here. and it's just got a wonderful smell. I mean, once you learn what that smell is, you'll never forget it. and you'll know exactly what it is. I have seen on a family farm, when they built the pond in about 1957, I think it was, 57, 58, there was a fat lighter stump that's right off the pier and down about 6-8 inches under water level, mean water level. From the time I was a kid, we would go out there and we would we'd stand in the water and split slivers off of that stump and bring them up out of the water and shake them off and touch them with a match and they'd go to burn. Why? Because the water cannot force in because of the sap. It's basically waterproofing the stump, one. And two, the fact that the water is keeping the turpentine and the tars and stuff of the fat lighter from, like I said, naturally evaporating. It's perfectly preserved the log, and so it being underwater for 40 years, it still would burn. You know, it was one of those things. We used to do it, you know, when you're trying to impress a girlfriend, and oh, let me show you this trick, and you get out there and bring it out. See, you know, yeah, that's cool. Stupid stuff little redneck boys do to try to impress girls. But for today, what I'd like to pass on to you is it's a great resource. But more so than that, store it in the big hunk. You know, harvest something like this if you can, and then just keep it. Now, even like this, it can get a little sticky because those saps. So I like to take these and put them into like a tub or something, or a cardboard box, so that it's not going to get my other gear in storage sticky. And then whenever I'm going to be going off on an event or whatever, I'll always run through and check my resources, and if I'm a little low in my fat lighter, I'll take something like this, come out here and split me off a hunk of it and go with it. Now, I've also done the trick of taking and putting like a piece of aluminum foil underneath it, and I like aluminum foil for this, and taking a saw and sawed it and then catch the sawdust from it, because that is basically Maya dust. And it's a very good thing for striking and stuff like that. So a lot of times whenever I'm trying to teach a brand new student how to do the flint and steel or the ferro rod, I'll make a small pile of that, because any spark coming within the same zip code is going to ignite, and it gives them confidence. And then we work through other materials once they've got the basic idea. So please leave any questions or comments, guys, below. And thank you very much for supporting my channel. Until next time, this is Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.